Imagine a bomber you can't task, track, or target, because by the time your screens notice anything, the mission's already over. This isn't sci-fi. It's the B-21 Raider, the stealth aircraft built to rewrite air warfare in the 21st century. It doesn't just avoid radar, it starves it. So little energy returns that defense analysts liken its signature to a black hole in the sky. If a great power crisis ignites, every assumption about layered air defenses gets put on trial, and the verdict arrives before the alarms do. So here's the real question. When your best sensors show nothing, how do you defend something? The B-21 Raider was conceived in a world where the skies were no longer safe. For decades, US bombers relied on altitude, range, and payload to guarantee dominance. But new realities, China's sprawling radar grids, Russia's S-500 missile systems, and hypersonic interceptors, demanded something different. America needed a bomber that wouldn't just survive inside contested airspace, but one that could make entire defense doctrines obsolete the moment it took flight. That's why the B-21 isn't framed as a successor to the B-20 Spirit. It's a transformation. Instead of designing an aircraft to outfly threats, engineers designed one to vanish from them entirely. In the halls of the Pentagon, officials didn't talk about replacing a bomber. They talked about building a phantom. And from its first classified sketches, the mission was clear. Create a weapon so advanced, so elusive, that adversaries would doubt their own defenses before a single bomb was dropped. Every nation builds planes to fight wars. The B-21 was built to end them before they start. Stealth has always been about slipping past radar, but the B-21 Raider takes it further. It erases itself from existence. Traditional stealth aircraft, like the B-2, were tuned to fool high-frequency radars. That worked in the 1990s, but China and Russia adapted, developing low-frequency systems designed to spot what older stealth jets missed. The B-21's answer: broad-spectrum stealth, engineered to defeat every frequency at once. Video transcript. Its radar cross-section is so tiny that defense analysts call it a black hole in the sky. Video transcript. Operators watching their screens don't see a ghostly trace or a flicker. They see nothing. The Raider doesn't dodge radar. It makes radar irrelevant. This isn't about tricking the eye with clever angles. It's about deleting the bomber from the electromagnetic spectrum itself. Across the Pacific, Chinese radar operators train for wave after wave of incoming threats. But against the B-21, their consoles remain clean, silent, and useless. And by the time they realize something's wrong, the Raider has already done its job. Stealth has always been about slipping past radar, but the B-21 Raider takes it further. It erases itself from existence. Traditional stealth aircraft, like the B-2, were tuned to fool high-frequency radars. That worked in the 1990s, but China and Russia adapted, developing low-frequency systems designed to spot what older stealth jets missed. The B-21's answer: broad-spectrum stealth, engineered to defeat every frequency at once. Its radar cross-section is so tiny that defense analysts call it a black hole in the sky. Operators watching their screens don't see a ghostly trace or a flicker. They see nothing. The Raider doesn't dodge radar. It makes radar irrelevant. This isn't about tricking the eye with clever angles. It's about deleting the bomber from the electromagnetic spectrum itself. Across the Pacific, Chinese radar operators train for wave after wave of incoming threats. But against the B-21, their consoles remain clean, silent, and useless. And by the time they realize something's wrong, the Raider has already done its job. The B-21's invisibility doesn't come from one trick. It's the fusion of design, materials, and physics. Look at its silhouette. No sharp angles, no exposed edges. The wings bleed seamlessly into the fuselage, creating a body so smooth that radar waves simply slide away without a trace. Video transcript. Its exhaust isn't left hanging for heat seekers. It's buried deep within the airframe, flattened and shielded to minimize the infrared glow that normally betrays an aircraft's position. But the shape is only half the story. Covering the Raider is a new generation of radar-absorbent coating. Unlike the fragile layers on older bombers, this skin is lighter, stronger, and effective across a broader spectrum. It doesn't just absorb radar energy, it swallows it whole, even in extreme weather or high-speed flight. Compared to the B-20 Spirit, which still reveals hints of structure under the right conditions, the B-21 appears shapeless, formless, and untouchable. To enemy sensors, it isn't just stealthy, it's gone. What truly sets the B-21 apart isn't just what it hides from the enemy, but how it thinks while it flies. This is the first US bomber designed with artificial intelligence and sensor fusion baked into its mission systems. While older aircraft follow pre-planned routes, the Raider adapts in real time. It analyzes enemy radar behavior, identifies blind zones, and rewrites its own path mid-flight, all without pilot intervention. The result? A bomber that doesn't just sneak through defenses, it hunts for weak points as it moves. It communicates seamlessly with satellites, drones, and allied fighters, coordinating strikes and adjusting tactics on the fly. To adversaries, this makes the B-21 not just invisible, but unpredictable. For commanders on the ground, the nightmare isn't simply that the Raider can appear undetected. It's that they can't predict where or when it will strike. Against the B-21, even the best defense plans collapse into uncertainty. Stealth alone would make the B-21 dangerous, but the Raider doesn't just hide. It fights in the shadows. Its electronic warfare suite is designed to turn the battlefield into a hall of mirrors. When enemy radar does pick up something unusual, the B-21 can flood the system with false returns, decoys, or scrambled signals. Operators might see one plane, 10 planes, or none at all, and none of it is real. This active deception means the Raider isn't merely invisible, it's confusing. It can jam missile guidance, distort tracking data, or even make itself look like a harmless blip in the wrong part of the sky. By the time defenses scramble to respond, the bomber has already vanished again. For rival commanders, this creates paralysis. Every radar screen becomes a guessing game, every alert a potential trick. The B-21 doesn't just defeat sensors, it makes adversaries doubt their own eyes. China has spent decades weaving a dense radar net across the Pacific. High-frequency trackers on the coasts, low-frequency early warning arrays on islands, and missile batteries like the HQ-19 ready to fire at the first sign of intrusion. On paper, it's an airtight shield. In practice, the B-21 Raider shreds it. In classified US wargames, the Raider penetrated these layered defenses without detection until after its strike had already been carried out. Its radar signature is compared to that of a mosquito, so faint that by the time sensors registered anything, the data was too late to act on. The result? China's multi-billion-dollar air defense investments looked like relics of a past era. And while Beijing works on its own stealth project, the H-20 bomber, it remains years, perhaps decades behind. The B-21 isn't just a step ahead, it's flying in a different league entirely. For Chinese commanders staring at blank radar screens, the message is clear. Their playbook has been torn in half. The B-21's most powerful weapon isn't carried in its bomb bay. It's carried in the minds of enemy commanders. Even when the Raider isn't overhead, the possibility that it could be forces adversaries to change their entire strategy. Patrols are delayed, operations are stalled, and resources are wasted chasing ghosts across the skies. This psychological edge is what makes the B-21 more than a bomber. It creates doubt at every level of command. Do you launch missiles at a phantom radar return? Do you hold back forces in case the Raider is already behind your defenses? Every decision becomes a gamble, and in war, hesitation is as deadly as defeat. By making itself unpredictable and unseen, the B-21 reshapes the battlefield without firing a shot. It doesn't just win through destruction, it wins through paralysis. For adversaries, that's the true nightmare. Knowing the most dangerous threat is the one they can't see, but can never stop thinking about. The B-21 Raider isn't just another addition to America's arsenal, it's a revolution. Where past bombers measured strength in speed, altitude, or payload, the Raider measures it in disappearance. It fuses broad-spectrum stealth, AI-driven tactics, and electronic deception into a single aircraft that makes entire defense systems irrelevant. For allies, it's reassurance that US power projection remains unmatched. For adversaries, it's a constant shadow, forcing them to rethink doctrines, rewire defenses, and live with the knowledge that the sky above might already be compromised. Wars are not always won by firepower alone. Sometimes they are won by fear, uncertainty, and the inability of your enemy to act. And in that contest, the B-21 Raider is not just ahead, it's untouchable. America's greatest weapon is no longer what it drops on the battlefield. It's the silence it leaves on enemy radar screens.